Hello, welcome back to Tiny Artist TV, Goblin Hours. Actually, this is kind of less than a traditional Goblin Hours and more just me wanting to share with you guys what I've been working on. So I started writing this webcomic back in, I believe it was July, and now that I finally have my desk set up, my own workspace that I don't have to share with anybody else in the house, I can actually put some time into drawing and not just writing. So that's what I'm doing. I am working on the first chapter. I have actually, I've already drawn, scripted, colored the prologue, very short introduction to the story, and I think I'm gonna do a title cover as well, just kind of a buffer between the prologue and the first chapter. Um, but yeah, I'm just going to be working on blocking out and maybe even getting to lining some of the panels for chapter 1. So yeah, and hopefully someone will join so I'm not just sitting here talking to myself again. But we'll see what happens. So let me go ahead and switch screens here. So here we go. All right. So as you can kind of see off on the side, I've already started doing a couple of pages. I figured I would at least have something to start the stream with, instead of just starting from zero. So you're not just watching me trying to make decisions about where things should go. Um, so right now, and I have, so the way I do this, from my cursor, I have my document with my script like on screen in front of me. And normally what I do, I actually block out the dialogue first. But I don't want any spoilers on these panels. So I'm just looking at my script and then drawing based on that so you guys can kind of see the progression of the story without any actual text. So for you, it's all just speculation. But for me, I know exactly what's supposed to be happening. So if and when you decide to read the full webcomic, you'll have a more clear understanding of what's going on with these images. But for now, I'm just going to be working on the actual panels and not having the script in here. So, yeah. And I need to go ahead and I can do a save as later. I don't need to do that now. The most important thing is that I'm able to actually save it as I go, which I've already done. So I am going to actually, yep, save that before I close the rest of these. Yeah, because that one's fine. That one's fine. So now we are working on, yeah, panel 4, which is not quite on page 4. Like, my numbers aren't always a 1-to-1. There's always a little bit of weirdness when translating script into actual comic and trying to space it out so that the pacing makes sense, especially for a webtoon format versus a traditional webcomic format where you can just cram a bunch of stuff into one page. With a webtoon format, you have to keep in mind that people are going to be scrolling through at a certain pace. So I usually try to do no more than 2 panels per page, and the pages are typically about the length of a smartphone screen. So I'm keeping in mind how much information is going to be on the screen at any one given time. Um, so like you can see here and here, where I've got it spaced out, but it's also helpful that I can see the progression, make sure everything is evenly spaced and evenly paced for the readers. This is not my first time doing a webcomic either. I actually had started doing one called Out There. And when I started doing it, it was actually a traditional webcomic where you have like 5 or 6 panels on one page and you just like upload a page a week, yada yada, versus the long form webtoons format. That webcomic died because I didn't have the time to do the uploads on the schedule that I wanted to keep up with. I wanted to do the scheduling or the pages once a week, and I was doing pretty good at first. And then I don't quite remember what happened as to I really think it was just planning. Um, as far as my part, because I had everything out on a calendar. I was good to go. And what I'm looking at right now, I'm trying to make sure that I can have my script and my video feedback on the same screen so I can see what you guys are seeing and making sure that I don't have anything important covered up. All right. So let's actually get started. Back to the drawing. So where am I? Okay. So that was page 4. Page 5. And I kind of just go with the flow as far as um like figuring out how many layers I need for each thing, whether I want to do free-handed panels or if I want to use the panel tool, which blocks off a section of the canvas and creates its own actual panel. And very useful, very cool, but I don't always need it. Let's see. Oh, and we have our first guest. Um, So it's actually my hubby who is in the other room watching me work on this. So hi, you're annoying and I love you. All right. I'm trying to figure out how I want to angle this pose. Also there's a lot more stress doing this live than just like me sitting here listening to my music and not worrying about how long it's taking for each thing to be drawn out, obviously. I think I need to make her smaller first of all. I'm gonna have her kind of more in the middle, well, up a little bit more. All right, our shoulders are gonna be kind of rounded. Hopefully my screen isn't too wiggly. I have my webcam sitting on top of my tablet, so things might get a little wiggly from time to time. But the setup should be pretty stable. Also, I hope I have my microphone close enough that you can hear me. And it's pretty quiet out here. Like shouldn't be any interference. I've been having some trouble with the way my audio sounds on playback when I go back to watch these streams. So I'm hoping, ooh, that's bad. That's bad. That it doesn't sound like I'm in the middle of a tin can like it has been. All right. And I think, okay, hold on. Zoop. Nope. Down. Leg is back. I think I made her shoulders too high. Shoot. Well, how do I want to draw? You know what? I might need to skip to the next page if I can't figure out how I want to draw this pose. Or, actually, factually, I already have the pose I want. So I can just reference that pose. Okay, cool. I think I've got it. It's just awkward because the pose that I want to use when I first drew it was on a wide panel, so she had room for her shoulders to be out instead of looking all like squished in. So I have her looking off to the side like she was. Her chin is too small. There we go. I think the main thing I need to do is just focus on blocking out Let's see. So it should be going down and in, and then fist like this. Okay. All right, so this shoulder can actually come out to make her arm more drawn in. Cool. All right. And how do I want to connect this? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And then the background, I'll just have that be an open panel with some soft blue. And I'm actually going to have this leg come forward a little bit more. All right. I think I got it. I'm going to need to fix her face when I actually do the line, but I was mostly concerned with getting this pose because action poses are still not quite my strong suit, but the only way to get better at that is to draw, of course. So this will definitely be good for me getting a different skill set under my belt, because it is an action. There is action in a lot. Actually, there's quite a few fighting scenes, especially just in the first chapter. A lot of my artwork is very like static, like just drawing a character, and not necessarily in like a very dynamic pose or anything like that. So this is going to be fun and challenging. And her legs are not that muscular. Like, yeah, she's out here fighting these demons, but they're like lean toned. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That looks good. And yeah, her eyes would definitely be glowing in this panel because she's summoning a more powerful version of her powers. Whereas before, in the previous panel, she was just using what's called an aura compass. Basically, she is what's called within this world an aria, and she can sense these demons with this particular set of powers that she has, and so she uses an aura compass to track their power level, locations, all that good old-fashioned fantasy stuff. And she can also use her powers to create aria weapons, which specifically cut through to a soul. So they damage Kalia, which are the things that she's fighting. If she uses them against humans, they don't do physical damage. They literally do spiritual damage and basically can make people lethargic or apathetic, or even hostile, depending on how she uses them, which I'm sure if you're getting attacked, you're going to be hostile, but like not to that degree, like unnaturally, supernaturally hostile. Um, and so here she's changing her aura compass into, which is this little thing right here that she has in her hand, into soul blades or aria blades. And all right, so that panel is done sketching out. Okay, so this is a fun angle to draw. It's a difficult angle, but I'm going to try to do my best. All right, so I think the horizon line is going to be way down here because this is going to be, we're looking up. Well, she's looking up and over. So the bottom of the chin is going to be here. All right, the front of the face is here. The chin is here. Bottom of the nose would be here. All right, and then the shoulders would be down. All right, so just looking up, it's kind of like positionally, it's going to end up being. All right, so the shoulders, actually, I need to bring those in a little bit. So the advantage of digital art is that you can just squeeze things in where you need to. Lord knows I need all the help I can get when it comes to resizing characters. That's something I've always struggled with, is making sure I have enough room on the page for the whole character. Like in my sketchbooks, I would try to start towards the upper middle and then still somehow run out of room for like all of the legs every time without fail. And this is just helped tremendously to be able to just resize and go. Hello, Kokomo or Ikokomo. Welcome to the stream. I'm sitting here trying to figure out poses right now for this particular panel. Off of this screen, I have my script that I'm going off of. I'm not putting any text on screen, so no spoilers. So this is just me blocking out the first chapter of my new webcomic. Okay. The ear will go here. All right, so the waist, because we're looking up, everything is going to be kind of up in this way. All right, I think, yeah, yep, this is what I'm going for. I'm going to need to refine it a little bit, but at the very least, I actually got the pose the way I need it to go. Exciting. Also, feel free to ask me any questions about tips and tricks. They don't even necessarily need to be related to whatever I'm working on. On my last stream, I was working on a graphic style sketch of a Medusa trio, and the person that joined me just kind of had some general questions about tips about shading and composition, and I was more than happy to throw some tips their way. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thinking, should I resize? Yeah, I'm going to resize this panel. Kind of place it more central. Mm-hmm. All right. And the shoes would kind of be overlapping the pants from this angle. We're going to go down and over this way. All right. Beautiful. All right. And sometimes, if I'm having a really difficult time just getting the pose to go the way I want it to, I use a model because that's what they're there for. And I've put in over 10 years of drawing the hard way. So I feel like I've deserved using a shortcut from time to time. But hopefully, I'm able to get the pose out with either just looking at references or just working at it until it decides that it just wants to come forth from my brain. But I am not opposed to using the 3D character models that Clip Studio comes equipped with. Because sometimes you're tired and you just don't feel like it. All right. So we've got, yep, low horizon line here, all the clouds up here. Let's put some birds up here just to kind of give a little perspective. Got some trees back here. Cool. All right. I like the way this panel turned out. Moving on to... Oh, this is going to be a weird panel to draw. I think I'm actually going to end up having to turn this one sideways, which reading sideways panels is kind of annoying, but sometimes it's necessary just based on the composition of what you need to happen in the panel. So this one's actually going to be a sideways panel. Edit. There we go. Okay. And this one, I might actually cheat just a little bit more. Which I guess is not cheating if I'm using my own drawing. I am going to... Let me see. Nope, not that. What I'm looking for... I'm just going to have to do it this way. It's fine. I think this is what I'm looking for. Yep, there it is. Because, oh, I've updated it. This also has her color palette. And the updated version of her outfit, too. So let me see. So let's get rid of that. This is actually the sketch that I need. So I'm going to take this. And because I've already drawn it once, I'm just gonna copy and paste it, which you'd be surprised. Actually, you may not be surprised. A lot of webcomic artists actually do this instead of, if they need a particular pose, especially if the character's just kind of static having a conversation, you may pick up on it. They'll just use the same panel over and over again. I try to avoid that because I like things to look more organic. But again, it's not something I'm opposed to since I know the tricks of the trade as far as that's concerned. All right, and then we're going to drop this in here. me see. Oh, no. This is what I need to do. Holy cow, I didn't realize that was going to be so huge. Okay. Yeah, that is way bigger than the panel size. Oh, okay. And actually, I can go ahead and get rid of this layer now that I have my sketch. Very cool. And that's another page done, at least as far as outlining. I am going to resize it one more time. And then put her here. And then just kind of sketch in some dash lines just to remind me that that's the effect that I want to use. I'll most likely end up using, where is it? One of these like anime dash lines. Oh, actually this one's good. Let me make a new layer and go ahead and drop that in. Boop. Oh, okay. I haven't downloaded it yet. Well, I will use that one. It'll be in the final version. So for now, I'll just go ahead and go back to sketching those in behind her. Which the pose is already very dynamic. So I won't need to do like super heavy lines or anything. Okay. Page number 9. Page number 8. Is it? It's number 9 on my script. All right, so this is going to be a tilted panel. Ooh, too much. Go back to gray. Just going to go this way. And I might need to think about putting a little bit more buffer in between my panels. Usually, if you're going to be making a webcomic, having the panel in the center usually gives you enough buffer, natural buffer between the pages as the reader is scrolling. So if I keep this panel here, and I actually will make this its own blocked panel, that should be enough space between the dash panel, which is going to end up going this way, and then this panel, and then the next panel is going to be just an open one. So I'm going to end up having a transition color here, which is just going to be like a really, probably a dark purple or dark green, and then gradient that into the next panel so it all just looks seamless once it all gets exported together. All right. And the Kalia, let's see, he had, oh, what symbol did he have on his head? Okay, I didn't give him one. He's low level, so he can just have the brand. Mm-hmm. These actually look, or at least this particular one, looks very similar to, I don't remember what I called them, but the creatures from my first webcomic, and like it's lost to time and history, so no one's gonna know unless they watch this stream. But they are different enough that someone reading both this one and the first one that I did would see the similarities, but also be like, oh, okay, I see the inspiration, but it's different enough that I'm not going to be offended by it because whatever. All right, how do these things run? They skitter. So he's going to have chest going down, arm coming forward with his creepy little bug hands. This needs to go down, and this needs to come up. All right. That looks painful. Am I gonna... That's not much better. All right. I'll fix it in post. I'll fix it when I do the line art. Oh. I'll just have to look at poses of dogs running or creatures skittering, because the way they run, it's like somewhere between a crab and a dog, which those two things have very different anatomy and movements. So maybe I've just set myself up to fail here. And maybe I just need to bring the hind leg up. Ooh. Yeah, that's fine. And then the other leg would be extending back and down. Oof, but not quite at that angle. Maybe more like this. You've got the heel here, the front toe here. It looks like it's coming out of his butt, but it's fine. It just needs to look like it's skittering away in a very creepy, uncomfortable fashion. Pardon me while I eat some noodles. Okay. And Olia, she's going to be over here. Her head is not going to be that big. It's going to be... Okay, and she's got her arms, one forward, one back. But in the last panel, so it needs to be this way. So the right arm is up. It's about just a little bit higher than the head. And then this arm going back. All right. So that's going to look like this. And that looks wrong because I have, okay, so it's sideways. It's sideways. So that needs to look more like this. Okay. And this is going sideways. And she still has, okay, so if the arms are going like this, opposite leg, opposite arm. So this knee is coming up. And this leg is going back. There we go. All right. Okay, cool. The chase is afoot. All right. And I'm probably going to end up not drawing her face just because she's so far away in this particular panel, and just do kind of a shorthand, like, I mean, you know, it's Olia. So far, she's the only character that's been introduced in these scenes. Right, and her belt would be kind of swinging off to the side because she's running. I think maybe if I bring... Yeah, that looks better. Having the fist a little more this way. And then she has... Let's see. Okay, so she has the shield on her left hand and the daggers on her right hand. So these need to be inverted. So the shield would be going like this. Kind of a flat, and that'll make more sense once everything's actually lined and in color, that it's kind of this flat disc that's hovering above her hand. And I keep looking at the wrong space because I'm so used to my camera being on top of my monitor. But if I put it up there, that's like, I look teeny tiny. Like, I'm already small, but if I put it up there, I look at least a foot shorter than I actually am. So I have it over here. So I'm looking forward most of the time anyway. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of more like, it doesn't go like that. It's kind of like a helix, like this. And it has, and these will all just be perspectived out. That is not a word, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, so we've got Olia running. In the next panel, let's see. It's gonna be, we're actually gonna start here. I'm gonna try my best to match it up. Actually, what I could potentially do is just extend this canvas to make sure that I've got it going where I need to go. So that's what I'm gonna do. Canvas size. Okay, come on, brain, do math. What is that, 2560? Yeah. I'm too tired to be doing this much math this late at night. All right, so we're going to move this back up to the first part of the panel. And it's okay if it's a little off, because it's just the edges of where the original panel were. What I'm most concerned about is having this part of the panel match up properly. And I may do this as a fade to black down here from about here, and then just go up so that this panel can be, let's see, behind dash panel with the woods. Let's see, running down. Okay, so that's panel number 6, panel number 7. So that's this one here. So yeah, this needs to be black. So we'll carry the gradient down. so that you get that seamless meshing between the transition pages. And then this here, let's see, it's called running on the dash panel with what's behind. She's going to be moving this way, more like this way. So it's going to be here up shot. We'll end the panel here. And it's going to be a hard panel line instead of a soft panel like the previous. Because the way I have it, it's kind of like hard panel, soft panel, kind of alternating a little bit. Just looking back through my catalog right now of pages. And I still want her to be looking down in this way. Trying to be a little bit lower because her mouth is open. All right. And there were a few panels. Okay, so that goes with number 5. Number 6 doesn't have any dialogue. Number 7 doesn't have any dialogue. But it does have this kind of a look to it. With daylight. So this will be blue. This will be dark green. This will be black. And shoulder would be way up by the ear. So it's kind of, there's still a little bit of space. Kind of like this. And this one would be forward. And this one would be back. And then she still has this thing, which will look way cooler once it's actually in color. These proportions are way off, so let's fix that. I think this is the background. I need to raise that a little bit. Yep. So we're going to turn this and we're going to raise it. That at least looks a little bit better. It gives me a better starting point for when I want to get into the lines. Right, so her body is twisting in this way. So pants would be going this way. There would be a wrinkle in her clothing here. And then her shoulder straps would go here. Yeah, the arm is a little hyperextended. That's what's wrong with it. Um, I am working on sketching out paneling my webcomic. Yeah. So this is a project that I've been scripting since about June, July of this year. And so I'm just kind of going through and roughing out some of the panels, which honestly is the most labor intensive part because once you've got all your poses down, the rest of it is just it's just gravy. So no, the shoulder still isn't right. What am I doing? She's still running. So this arm still needs to go back. I'm going to pull this in closer to her body. She's actually... gonna stop here. Because at this point, she's realized that it's getting kind of dark. And this may be a trap. She still has her shield on this hand. And she still has her blades on this hand. Yeah, I like that much better. It's a better transition pose. From the chase scene, you can see she's still moving, but it's not so stiff as just another running pose. There's more motion. There's some hesitancy there, which is that's what I wanted. So then going back to this page, the Kalia is going to be here, which that's just going to be a little scribbled in dude. And he's going to have his little claws here. And then Kalia, not Kalia, Olia. Oh gosh, too many yas. Olia is going to be here. Top down. This arm back. This arm forward. So this leg would be forward. And this leg would be back. So you wouldn't see that. Alright, shield. And spikes. Okay, cool. And then all along here, it's just going to be some black trees. And this is where we see the road starts to lead further into the woods. All right. So we've got the page where the black gradient comes down. We've got our trees coming around. The back of the path would actually probably be here a little bit. Coming in here, and that's also going to frame Olia at the bottom of the panel. And this is not going to be a straight path because this is just a natural path in the woods. There's going to be some rocks. It's going to be a little off kilter. There's going to be some bushes on the side. So the bushes, I'm actually going to have those come up this way. And those are going to go from light green to dark green to black all the way at the outside, kind of like a natural vignette. And I have this darkness encroaching her. In the back, you can still see the blue sky, and there's going to be some clouds there. but the birds will be gone at this point because birds don't like danger, and there's danger here. All right, so the next panel. All right, let me see. Where am I? Sorry, didn't mean to cross over the camera. Let's see. There, dashing with. Okay, so that's going to be a reveal for when I do the coloring for that panel. Okay, so she is still Alice in Wonderlanding this thing. So there's going to be a panel break, and this is just going to be another panel. And I'm actually going to have this be a middle panel instead of a wide frame panel, just to break up the panel styles. It's just good to give a little bit of visual interest, especially when, like, there's already visual interest because it's a chase scene, but as far as showing the reader what to pay attention to, panel style is also very important. For instance, she went from an open road to in the woods, where with the coloring you'll see that there's going to be this natural encroaching darkness, to now we're going into this claustrophobic box style panel. And even though it looks like she's in control, she's still very much in danger at this point. So she is going to still be running down this kind of craggy, muddy woodland path here. And let's see. Head over from behind with a click running down. Okay. So she's actually going to be... I'm going to have her here, and it's going to be a shoulders and upper back panel. All right, so this would be the back of the rib cage. She's still running, but she's cautious now. So the best way to show that would be to have the shoulders back a little bit. All right, in the last panel was left arm, so it's going to be right arm forward in this panel. And then this arm coming back with the shoulder blade here. Shoulder coming down here. Now it's going to curve this way because that's the way the bicep curves. Well, bicep / tricep, what have you. And so the elbow is actually going to be up here in front of the shoulder, just because perspective rules. All right, so at least now it still looks like she's in motion to some degree. Like maybe she slowed down a little bit, but she's still pursuing this Kalia. And even I'm saying it wrong. So the X is supposed to actually be a click, but I can only do it sometimes. I'm not going to do it on stream because I'm just going to embarrass myself. But anyone who speaks Xhosa would be able to do it without a second thought. I don't, so I can't. Let's actually bring that in a little bit. Elbow here. Okay. And this shoulder, nope, the shoulder would still be back because it's, yeah. to narrow those a little bit. And bring this in a little bit over here. And then she's still going to have this shield up. And then this shield is going to kind of be behind her. Okay. And I need to just make the entirety of her frame shrink in just a little bit. Either that or I need to make her head bigger. Well, yeah, I'll just shrink her frame a little bit. And do a little squeeze. There we go. Easy enough. And then the collia is supposed to be kind of, actually, I'm going to need to move that because I can't see where that's supposed to go. All right, little collia dude is back here. Still kind of hopping along, skittering along, however you want to describe what he's doing, being gross. All right. And then I'll just line him out. The most important thing was I got the proper position. Okay. Panel number. Let's see. Move behind, click running down path. Okay. So this is, so I'm going to have maybe some dash lines. I'll decide if I like the way that looks. It's kind of eh. And then I can put, she has a speech bubble, so I can put that here. Because there's not going to be anything, there's not going to be any important visual information aside from just some more trees and some rocks and things like that. So it's fine if I use if I cover that with text. Okay. All right, so that one's done. Let's see. So this is the next one. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a few more pages. And close these so I don't have a bunch of windows open. There should be. Here we go. I'm afraid of what's going to happen if I just hit in, but let's see. Or can I do... Nope. Nope, that gives me a whole new panel altogether, so we'll just do it this way. I'm probably going to need... How many more pages do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm going to need quite a few more panels. We'll call this, I'll do this one, and then I'll start lining what I have. Or do I want to keep sketching? Because I'm going to need a lot more pages, and I'm kind of afraid if I do this, yeah, it's just going to give me more than what I actually need. So I'm just going to have to add them in one at a time. Fun! Okay, so this was a closed, and so actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a soft brown gradient starting about midway here. And that's going to go into this panel, which is going to be the end of the path, and the rocks here. Or maybe I should do gray. No, brown is more, for the colors that I'm using, it gives a little bit more contrast and visual interest. If everything is gray and black and purple, it's going to be very monotonous. And where they are, it makes sense that there's more red clay than shale or granite or anything that would be a gray stone. Okay, and just kind of carve out some rough kind of rock pieces here. Because this will all just be that khaki gradient. All right, so in this panel, she's come to the end of the path. She's got the Kalia cornered. So I have in my notes, and I need to scroll back up on my script. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because it's just the Kalia against the rock here, he's looking up, and he's like, oh, well, this sucks. I've reached a dead end. But I also need to put in somewhere Olia's hand, because she's actually raising it to strike in this panel. So I'm actually going to just put it over here in this next page and have it coming from over here. And have the path kind of continue down a little bit, so that we can still see some of the rocks from the previous page, and you know that this is a continuing line of action, that this panel is still related to the previous page. And then the next, this is going to fade out. So this is going to fade to white here. And then in here, there's just going to be the onomatopoeia of the sound the Kalia make to call out to each other. And I will probably stylize that in a much more sinister fashion, because my handwriting is choice. So back in this panel, she is raising her hand to strike, and I just want it to be the hand. So I think, should I actually do it on the left-hand side then? Or the right-hand side? Let me see. Let me see what I like better. Because most of my readers are going to be reading from left to right. So I usually just kind of instinctually start information on a page on the left hand side instead of the right hand side. So I'll go from like left, right, center, that kind of path. Because she's using her right hand. So I think just visually it would make more sense if I had it on the right side. Because you're still going from left to right, because the Kalia is in the middle, and then you're going down to the right where her hand is. And, Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep it on the right-hand side, but I'm going to change the pose of the hand. So it's going to be like this. Oh, thank you. I have no idea when I'm planning on actually releasing this. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a backlog of buffer pages over the holidays and probably release it sometime in maybe January or February of 2022. But actually, and I meant to post this on Twitter earlier today, I do want to show you guys and anyone who's watching the playback, the VOD, what I was working on yesterday for the prologue. It's just something I'm really proud of this particular panel. Just to give you a little taste of what you guys are in for. So this is from the prologue. And stylistically, this is kind of what I'm going for, this very storybook, mythical feeling. This is probably my favorite panel, or panels, because it's actually one long panel that'll be split into two, that I drew while I was working on this. And then potentially the logo, but you'll see that when it goes up on Webtoons. So for now, I'm going to go back into... Nope. Back to one line. This page. Yeah, and I don't have my Twitter link up on the bottom of the screen for some reason. It's just not up. You can follow me at tinyartist516 on Twitter for updates. And actually, can I go ahead? I'm going to type that in the chat for you guys. And it might show up on screen as I try to get my life together. I'm still getting used to my new environment. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So that is my Twitter if you want to keep up with updates. I'm not always going to be doing live streams of my webcomic. Usually my live streams are just whatever I feel like. Like the last one I did was just a drawing. Actually, most of them are just drawings. But I felt this would be a good way to kind of get the word out, get some proof out that I actually am working on this thing instead of just constantly saying, I'm working on it, I swear I am. Now you have visual proof that there is at least 12 pages plus however long the prologue is of this project. So I'm going to move this one down. We're going to move this down a little bit. About halfway. And so I have more room to actually draw her spikes. Which those will be much better drawn. Gosh, that's the point of sketches. Sketches aren't supposed to be pretty. Sketches are just supposed to tell you where stuff goes and what size it's supposed to be. Like, yeah, sketches can be pretty, but at that point, it's just a drawing. All right. And I guess technically this is actually her left hand that's doing this, but she can use her Aria blades with both hands, so it doesn't matter. What does matter is what's about to happen. And that's me attempting to draw action scenes. When we posted your website, Twitter, Facebook. Oh, so it's going to be hosted on the idea was to host it on Webtoon. I've also been looking at like TappyToon and other hosting websites that just treat their artists better, but Webtoon is like more accessible. And that's why I'm working in this size specifically, because it's Webtoon formatted already. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be, excuse me, here and then here, and it's going to be her head and shoulders. Looking back over. And I probably will occasionally post like single panel updates on Twitter just to let people know, like, hey, this thing is uploading like today. It will most likely end up being a Thursday upload just based on my current work schedule. Thursdays tend to be the days that I either have off or the most time to work and upload on things like this. It's also usually the day where I edit and upload my YouTube videos, like not things like this, but the ones that are actually planned and produced, for lack of a better term. So yeah, right now I'm looking at Thursdays for uploading. And most likely, I would like to do an every week schedule, but it might end up being every other week. Just so that I have enough time in case like anything happens with my schedule. I have that flexibility to work that time in that otherwise I would not have had to work on my comic. Like today, actually, I had planned on, and this is mostly why I'm doing the live stream drawing my webcomic tonight, is because I had planned on going to work in the afternoon, but one of my coworkers called out sick, so I ended up having to cover the morning shift for them. So that chunk of time that I had allotted to work on my webcomic, I was elsewhere. So I'm working on it now as much as I can. All right, the back of this panel is going to be the path with all the dark trees. So this is probably going to end up being like that, just to kind of imply where she is in this environment. This panel, okay, this is supposed to be, and her ears are very round, very stylized. All right. And then here's the path. Oli is going to be standing here. And I might draw her a little bit smaller because I want it to feel like the woods are encroaching in on her at this point. So I'm going to start this page. There's going to be a black gradient. To lead into the next page. And then that's going to be, this is all going to be black trees here. And then here you've got your bushes, your lower trees. These ones are just going to end up being black with dark green. So I'll use this to differentiate between what's what. Because this will probably be dark green with the black hatching so that it's not as dark. So you can see that it's still kind of out past where the light is. But the rest of the path is going to be way down in here. So this is going to have some light. This is going to be a little strip of bluish sunlight. Okay. So Olia is going to be standing here at the bottom of these woods, looking and feeling quite small. So I need her head to be like here. Her shoulders are going to be slumped a little bit. Elbows are going to be back. And her hands are still fists because she still has her little shield. And then her fist with the spikes around it. Okay. And she's just kind of standing here like, oh, well, this was a dumb decision, but I'm here now. What am I going to do? Yeah, and I'm going to have her looking up. So her nose is going to be here. Her eyes. No, she's not looking up that far. But she is looking up. Eyes are in a very defensive pose. Okay. All right, and we've got the arms there. Why do I keep drawing her legs like that? Her legs are not that thick. I do have some thick characters in this script, but Olia is, I wouldn't classify her as like thick. She's well shaped, but she's not Hama, that's for sure. Hama is thick. She's also one of my favorite characters. She's just very spirited and very fiery, and just, she's kind of, actually, I don't think I have a character that's a comic relief character, but she is way less serious than Olia. So she was kind of more so written as a foil to Olia. I guess if anything, Enderu is actually the comic relief. And we'll actually meet Enderu and then actually Olia's sister Judy in chapter 1. So we have most of the main cast, and then Hama, I think she ends up in chapter 3 if I've got this put in the right, because I've had to readjust some things recently. Like, I had originally had the chapters way shorter, and I went back and I was like, no, these are way too short. So now I'm basically combining 3 chapters into one. So she probably ends up showing up in chapter either 3 or 4. Or originally she didn't show up until about chapter like 8 or 9. All right, so where are we now? There. Okay, so the next panel, add a page. There we go. And actually, I might need to do another double page. So that's going to be another 2560. Right? Yeah, that's right. That's right. Nice. And that is where I wanted that page to be. So that is perfect. There we go. A little bit smaller. So this is going to be just kind of this umbra to kind of capture whatever color ends up being at the bottom of the previous page. And it has this arena feel to it. Love that. As you can see here, it's, well, I don't know, how small does it look on your screen? I can see it just fine because it's right here. There's a sort of ring, and again, everything's just kind of encroaching on her, which is exactly what I wanted. And I'm going to save these, close these. So yeah, if I can spend 8 hours sketching out a chapter, or maybe even less, because I started this at 6:30. And it's now 8:30. It's 2 hours, and I've been able to pump out half the chapter. Let me see how much further I have, because I'm getting to the end of what was originally the end of chapter 1. Okay. That's all going to be all together very fast. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, I only have about 14 pages left. So if it took me about 2 hours to do 14-ish pages, and that's with like stopping to talk to you guys about the process while I'm doing it, it'll probably take maybe only an hour to do another 14 pages. So altogether, I'm still only looking at about 28 to 30 pages per chapter, which by webtoon standards is small, because most larger webtoons have at least 60 to 100 pages per chapter. But I also work full time, so I'm doing this in my spare time. If I can make this work, and I really want to make this work because I've put a lot of time into this story. And I love it, and I love the characters, and it's just something I want to do for fun. Like the first webcomic I did, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be revolutionary. It's going to be like," I was so serious about it, and I took it too seriously, so when I wasn't able to produce the results that I wanted to produce with it and deleted it without telling anybody, I pretty much took a break, like, for about a year, almost a year and a half, before I even thought about writing another one. And this time I decided, okay, I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna pressure myself if I don't get the results that I want, or if I end up having to pace myself a little bit slower, um, or even if I don't get the amount of readers that I think I'll get. So this is more so just for me. I wrote this story because this is the kind of story that I want to see published on webtoons. And it's not going to get published by anyone else but me, because no one else knows what I want as a reader. Like, I mean, there can be like intonations of it, but oh, thank you, Kokomo. Um Yeah, just after being on Webtoon for a few years and reading the same old stories, I said, "You know what? I want something new. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. I can create this. So that's what I'm gonna do, and that's what I'm doing." And it may be a little ambitious because I've literally written 2 seasons of this webcomic already. Um, the first season is definitely very more like wham bam fast action packed. The second season, it's a very zoom out. Okay, you know who the characters are, but like now you get to know who the characters are, and there's a lot more, like, there's still action in it, but it's action that's tempered with more character moments. You actually get to know these people and what they want and what they're afraid of and what their ambitions are and where they come from, because the cast comes from a wide range of different places within the world that I've created, and how they ended up together is very fun and very interesting, and I am excited to finally be drawing this story. Again, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm here for the ride, and I hope you guys come along too. Um, where did I leave off? Oh yeah, there is. All right, so I want to have enough space for suspense. So this next panel is actually going to start kind of towards the bottom middle, kind of towards the top of the second page. So pretend you're scrolling, and you see the the panel where she's in the trees. You're scrolling, and you see, hold on. There we go. Just a little bit of white space before. Is it supposed to be claws or is it just supposed to be blood? I know none of those things sound great right now. Okay, so it's just supposed to be claws. So I'm gonna have this kind of like ripping through. There we go. And then I'll have kind of a slashing sound effect or like something where it's like red and black to imply that she's being attacked. Next panel. Oh, actually, factually, this is going to end up being a copy paste situation. And we're going to move this and then we're going to flip it. Yeah, okay. And these are going to be transition panels. So I'll have this one be just a regular slash. This one there might be a little bit of gore, some soft gore. There will be. So this comic, because it's for me, an older reader. This is more for an older audience, and I am aware that an overwhelming amount of readers on webtoons are in like middle school and high school, but the things that they read on there, they'll be fine. I'm not going to draw anything graphic. Like no super graphic blood or sex or gore or anything like that. There is going to be some light swearing, but it's not going to be like F-bombs every other page because that's just tasteless. That's not the kind of story I'm writing. Like if the moment calls for it, yeah, like sometimes there's no other way to say a thing. But I don't think I have any F-bombs in my script. All right, so yep, we've got the transition panels. And then we'll go to a panel in the middle. And we'll have slashes behind the panel. Just to kind of keep the action going. But in the middle here, it's going to be... yeah, it's going to be Olia from the back. Actually, I'm going to draw her from the side. And her mouth is going to be open. Her shoulders are reared back a little bit. Show that she's still in a defensive pose. Okay. I'm going to have to do something with that eye. She's squinting. Okay, I need to lower the eyebrow. Actually, do I want to... Yeah, she's got scratches all over her shoulders and arms. I'm going to have her lifting her fist with the shield behind it. Okay. She's kind of sweating, panting. She's been putting up a fight. And then a small panel with her eyes very narrowed. One is actually going to be swollen shut. So I might need to just go all the way to the bottom. Make sure I have enough room to really get the eyes in there, because I don't want to squeeze too much. Like, she's already squinting, but I don't want the panel to be so narrow that it's like unreadable. Okay, so this is the bruised eye. So it's actually going to look like this, and it's going to come down like this. And then her eyelid is going to come around like this. Okay. And she's still using her powers, so I'm going to do a little bit of magic.
I'm actually doing okay, honestly. I've got the army keeps using it right.
And eyelid. Okay. Love it. I mean, I don't love it because I'm beating up my character, but this is the way it's supposed to look. Okay. Next page. Okay. Yeah, the next page is going to be a little tricky. I think that one's going to end up just being mostly color. I'll at least still block out where I want things to go. So I'm going to add. And I think, am I going to be able to finish this chapter on stream? No. But I will at least get to the end of where the first chapter originally ended. Okay. Yep. Cool. Oh gosh, the next few pages have buildings. I might cheat and see if I can find some buildings on clip, or I may just draw them because they're not complicated. But I'm a character artist, not a background artist. I don't enjoy drawing backgrounds, but I can't just have my characters floating in white space and open grassy hills all the time. So this next page, we're going to start here and here. So it'll be in the middle. We'll have a little bit of a buffer because that bruised eye panel was all the way at the bottom of the last, at the last page. Do I need to move it down just a little bit more? And this is going to be very hard to translate into a sketch because in my brain, I know what this needs to look like. And okay, so here's what we're going to do. It's going to kind of look like this. But these are all supposed to be like super blurry. So I'm probably going to just end up drawing everything in and then just using a blur filter over top of everything instead of just using like a fuzzy brush, which is what I was initially going to do. I'll decide what I like better, because if I just do an overall blur, it might be too much, whereas if I do it by hand, I can at least control what is blurred and what is sharp to kind of make it look like things are going in and out of focus as she's trying to like look at all of these Kalia. Okay. And she may not even be able to see. Well, their symbols will be glowing because just like the Radiance, which she is, when the Kalia use their powers, their eyes and the brand on their forehead glows. So yeah, this is all just going to be kind of ambiguous black. And then there's going to be this trees in the back. And all of this is blurry. And all of this is very dark vignette. She's losing her eyesight. She's losing blood. She's losing consciousness. So this is all just kind of, again, that very tunnel vision black. And let's see. Blurry panel with a few. Okay, gotcha. Next one. So I may actually need to break this up a little bit, just so we can kind of see, or so that Olia can see a little bit of the path behind her that leads back out, but it's through this throng of Kalia, this nest that she's apparently stumbled into. And then, so we'll have close-up of the blurry Kalia that are like right on top of her. But then behind, we can see out towards the path. And there is a shadow approaching at the end of the path. And she is running for her dear life. All right, trees. And we'll actually break the trees up in this panel a little bit, just to kind of symbolize a little bit of hope. And to really focus in on this new player approaching the field.
got stages coming up on my counts.
Okay.
My army is red.
So this will kind of go into a black wash at the bottom of the panel. And I think, yeah, we don't actually see who this is yet. What would you say is the hardest thing about doing? Ideas come pretty easy to me just because I'm constantly daydreaming. But like, oh, this would be a cool story. Um I would say drawing can be the hardest part just because it's the most time consuming. Because with writing, you can just just type it out, just get it on the paper. But then when you actually have to execute the thing that you've written, because when you're writing, you can just rely on your brain to fill in the information. Having to draw that same thing can be a little tricky unless you have a really good reference or just a lot of experience drawing a particular style or type of pose, like action pose or romance pose or just like everyday living poses, like very casual. Um, so I would say unless you've been drawing for a really long time, drawing can definitely be the hardest part of doing the comic versus the writing. Um, and even more so, like, well, if you're part of a team, like there's actually a couple web comics I read where someone writes and someone draws. And even that can be a little difficult just because the person who's writing it may have a particular idea in their head. So they have to trust the person who's drawing it to execute it. And if they don't execute it right, the person who's drawing it has to redo and redo and redo, and that can be very exhausting. Um, but I think the biggest thing for doing a web comic is when you're not working on the comic itself, just practicing things you like to draw because that's less stress, and then practicing things you are not good at. So the more you do it, the better you get at it, especially if it's an element that's going to be integrated into your comic, such as buildings or complicated poses, um, like automobiles, animals, things like that. Um, and just making sure that you're balancing breaks. Breaks are so important because if you are not taking breaks, your work will suffer. um, but yeah, the hardest part is definitely, I would say, 9 times out of 10, I feel like most people would agree that actually drawing out the written portion can be difficult because it's time consuming. And you just have to practice and get to know what you're doing. Yeah. But that's pretty much with anything. Like, you're not going to get better at something if you don't practice, unless you're a prodigy. But even they still have to practice. All right, so we're coming up on, it's getting close to 9 o'clock. I think, yeah, the last panel is actually a fade to black. So that's perfect. Yeah, because that's the end of chapter 1. So I am actually going to go ahead and end the stream here. I might do another one where I do the line art because it would look more cohesive, more finished. Oh, you're a photographer. What's your favorite subject to photograph? Like, do you do weddings? Do you do like nature, portraits? Let's see, creative portraits. Like fashion? I mean, because like anything creative, like that's great. That's fun. Let's see. Something I can use. Nice. Yeah, do you have like if you want to put your link in the comments so I can take a look? And actually, so since the comments are going up on YouTube, anyone else interested, post it on there. Anyone else who watches the VOD, they'll get to take a look at your stuff too. I only have 39 subscribers right now, but it's 39 more people who may be looking at your portfolio. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. So my link is not showing up in your feed. Okay. You send it over Twitter maybe? And then I can well, even then. Yeah, just put it under the link to this VOD, which I'll post later this evening. Yeah, because I'd love to take a look at your work. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead because, like I said, it's 9 o'clock. I actually have work kind of early in the morning. I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the stream for now. Yeah, I don't know why the link didn't send. But or you can post it on the comments in YouTube, and that should also work. Like not on the restream VOD, but just like in the YouTube comments in general after the VOD's finished. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here, and might do some line art for you guys next week, or I might just decide to just finish this on my own time. We'll see how I feel and how much time I have. But yeah, this was fun, and looking forward to sharing this work with you guys sometime in 2020. So until next time, have a weird day. And